Oh.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Storm Hunters podcast. It's Wednesday night prime time on SaskatchewanWeather.ca. Joining me is the lovely Steven Anderson, eating as always, constantly eating, really. And really glad you could be with us. We've got a big show planned. We have Katie Nymanen is going to be calling in here shortly. We're going to have a roundtable discussion. We've got a couple of things to discuss. Then we're going to get to our featured guest, which is Nick Schenher out of Regina, Saskatchewan, storm chaser, TVN live streamer. You can check out his website, is stormwatcher.ca, and you can check out all his videos and stuff on there. And really glad you could be with us tonight. And we're hoping we're going to have a glitch-free show this week. Unlike a couple weeks ago, we had some technical glitches. We've got this ironed out, and we're ready to rock and roll tonight. And if you guys have any questions throughout the show, submit them through Twitter. We're also watching the live chat very closely alongside the live stream player. We've gone back to our original Ustream chat, so you'll be able to get a hold of us really easily that way. And so we're going to bring in Katie Nymanen first of all and get going with our regular roundtable discussion. And hello to Katie Nymanen.
Hello.
Can you hear okay, Steven, there? All I could hear is you crunching.
Yeah, I know. I told you
crackers.
I can hear, but it's kind of faint.
Kind of faint? Okay, we'll adjust this really quickly here.
Just gum. You put gum on here.
Alrighty, so while we just get things connected here. Steve's having a lighting glitch. We're just going to bring up Katie's video really quick here as well.
Is this gum?
No, it's not gum. It's called Sticky Tack. Have you ever heard of it?
It's pink.
It's not pink.
Whatever. It's
It's
red.
orange.
Oh, whatever.
It's not. No.
Sticky Tack, where I come from, is
Okay,
blue.
so how are you tonight, Katie?
I'm good. How are you?
Is there any way you can turn up the volume on that?
I am turning up the volume. How was that?
Oh,
I just
nobody's
hear you,
talking.
I just hear you talking louder.
Yeah, okay, I can
I think we just lost her. Okay. Stand by, everybody. We've lost our connection with Katie here momentarily.
Sorry.
In the meantime, we'll take your questions at saskatchewanweather.ca/live-podcast, or you can tweet me at joshuazorn_SKWX. I'll fire up the Twitter here. Steven, do you want to enlighten us on what you're eating there?
I'm reading the Ustream chat.
No, what you're eating.
Oh.
Not what you're reading.
Oh. I don't even know, but it's like a pretzel thing, and there's peanut butter in the middle. And it's from Costco.
Uh-huh.
And if you don't know what Costco is, it's kind of like a big...
Who doesn't know what Costco is?
I don't know.
Come on.
People in States might not know.
They have Costco in the States.
Yeah, I know, but it's not as big.
How do you
It's
know?
like a big Kmart, because I've been there.
Yeah, you'd probably know better than I do anyways. But...
I'm just speaking from what I saw.
Okay.
And they're really good for someone who hasn't eaten. Because he had to come to the podcast.
Dedication. Well, thank you very much for your dedication.
I'll just move this way so I can...
Okay. So we are trying to connect with Katie still. Anybody has any questions, submit those on the live chat. And somebody wants some, Steven. Cooler 250 wants some of your snack there.
No. Spell my name wrong.
Oh.
Spell my name wrong, man.
You'll get over it. I think
Hurts.
you'll get over it.
Okay, I'm not really sure what happened there. I got signed out.
I found her.
Sorry.
Okay, we have Katie back. Just one moment. Here we go. All right. There we go. Now we got our audio fixed. Okay, so an interesting story I found tonight for our roundtable that I thought we could talk about a little bit was this article about there being a potential. The forecast for ski resorts in Canada this winter is that there's going to be an abundant snowfall in the winter of 2013-2014. That will bring plenty of snow to both resorts in the west and the east, and you'll see on the stream right now this map that shows this forecast snowfall. What do you guys think we can expect to see for snowfall this winter?
Sorry.
Well, we haven't seen a lot of precipitation during
Stop talking about peanut butter.
No, it's a top of my mouth.
the summer and the fall too much, but you know what? I think that because of that, it could be leading to a more precipitation-filled winter, which could lead to more snow because we've kind of missed out on that lately. So I think that we could definitely see some more precipitation during the winter months. Definitely a lot of snow would... I always like snow. I mean, it's a pain keeping up with it shoveling, but it's so nice and it makes you feel really Canadian to have lots of snow around. So I'm kind of excited for that.
Steven, what are your thoughts on that kind of forecast? Do you think it's kind of bold to be predicting this abundant snowfall this far ahead?
Not really. I just want to know when it'll happen. Mostly if they give that correct date.
I think I didn't get a chance to
Like
read
if
through
they're
all of it,
able
but
to
I think they were
forecast it.
talking mainly January, February.
January.
I mean
February.
those are peak times for ski resorts, right? Especially in like the west.
Well, yeah, and you're
Coast.
pretty much in the middle of, well, not middle, but it's. I don't know. I kind of agree with them, but I don't know.
You kind of agree.
Sure, I don't even remember what the question was.
Do you guys, anybody on the chat, want to give us your opinion on what do you think of the forecast by AccuWeather.com that Canadian ski resorts will see more above average snowfall this year?
I think they're right. Right. I think they're going to be right. Mostly because, never mind.
Well, you can't just drop off in the middle of it. Okay. Katie, did you have any topics to bring to the round table tonight? I know I was pretty pathetic with that, but...
Well, mine's just as pathetic, but what do you think that it'll be lots of precipitation with cold temperatures or lots of precipitation with milder temperatures?
If you go by the trend, I mean, we've had a pretty, just in talking Saskatchewan alone, Canada-wide it's a bit harder, obviously, but in Saskatchewan alone, it really comes down to, I mean, when you look at our fall season, it's been overall quite mild. We've had the odd day has been quite chilly. Today was pretty overcast, windy. That's the one thing I don't like is the wind. It can be cool and 5 degrees or whatever, but if it's windy, it feels cold out there, right? And that's something that played a big factor in last winter is we had these major snowfall events, and then combined with the wind created for really bad driving conditions, highway conditions. Anyways, but I'm getting off topic with precipitation. But our fall hasn't really seen a whole lot of precipitation in southern Saskatchewan. Obviously, winter can be entirely different. But I think it's just going to matter when it comes. And, I mean, Ryan Krause just messaged and said, I mean, there's a chance for snow in Yorkton on Friday. And, I mean, there is, over the next couple of weeks, there is going to be that chance of snow falling. It's probably going to melt the next day or whatever, right? But we're going to start seeing that chance over the next month. And I think we'll be able to tell more then. So we'll bring this topic back up in a month or so, and we'll have a better idea of it. But
when we're shoveling off our driveways. Yeah.
Cooler250 says he likes the weather where he is, and I'm not sure what the weather is like there. I think he's from Ontario. I'm not sure what the weather's like in Ontario. Maybe you could let us know what the weather's like in Ontario. I have family.
We'll be little stalkers today. Just let us know where you live.
Stalkers. We don't care about where you live. We just care about what the weather's like.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we're ready to bring in Nick Schenher, aka Nick the Body on Twitter. His website is stormwatcher.ca, and as soon as I figure out how to add somebody to this call. Steven, talk amongst yourself and the viewers here for a second.
Oh, what?
Make something up.
Okay. I don't know. I'm kind of out of it. I haven't had anything to eat.
You keep saying that.
It's kind of hot. Oh, okay. Well, it says if it's kind of hot.
Kind of hot in Ontario? Okay, we should have Nick coming up here any second.
Yay. Nick.
Good evening, Nick Schenher. How are you tonight?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Not too bad. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight on the podcast.
My pleasure.
So, for anybody who doesn't know, can you maybe give a little bit of an introduction about yourself?
Sure. My name's Nick Schenher. Storm spotter out of Regina, Saskatchewan. Been spotting storms for about a decade now, and I'm picking grapes right now, right off the vine.
I was wondering what
Yeah, they're Concord grapes. They're in season this time of year. I buy a few boxes of them, and I try and pre-pick as many as I can, and put them in a big bag, and then freeze them and put them into juices and shakes and all those types of things.
Good idea.
So, and I understand that you and Greg Johnson also have your own podcast that you were running in the off season last year. Any plans to bring that back this winter?
I haven't. I don't know yet. I think there's probably a plan in place to do that. I think we started looking at that in November, December of last year, and we'll probably look at doing the same thing again this year. Greg keeps pretty busy this time of year doing photography stuff and presenting to schools and all that type of thing. So once I can reconnect with him, I haven't spoken to him for a while, then we'll probably look at discussing that. And I just had my first kid about 6 weeks ago, so I've been kind of busy myself lately. And
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I usually take a little break from weather and Twitter in September, October-ish, as soon as storm season's done, and then get ready for the winter season after that. So look at this bag of grapes.
Very nice.
Bitter. So yeah, I'll start talking to Greg again once things are settled for him and settled for me and all that type of thing.
So before we go to taking questions on the chat, we're gonna ask you just some very basic questions, talking about just to sort of get to know you a little bit better.
Sure.
So I'll just basically one-liner questions. I don't have these written down. I'm just gonna
Favorite color?
There you go. I'll let Steven fire him away here while I work on something.
Favorite color would be very light blue.
That's good for storm chasing.
Yeah.
Okay. First, I don't know. Congrats, bro. Yeah, there you go. I don't know how you would word this. Describe. That's kind of whatever. We'll go with a heavy-held question. Describe the feeling you felt on your first storm chase. That's a pretty heavy one.
You know what? I can't really remember what the first one was like. It must not have been all that exciting. I would have been about... well, the first time I actually remember going out and watching a storm would have been just after I got my license, so maybe when I was 16 or 17. The first time that I actually started spotting and reporting for to Environment Canada would have been in 2004, maybe. And I remember going out, and there was a good stretch of 3 or 4 years there where there was absolutely nothing reportable at all. I saw storms and hail and lightning and all that type of thing, but nothing that was huge where I had something that I could report to Environment Canada. So I guess in terms of excitement, the first real storm chase, I guess, where I was close to a tornado or witnessed one would have been around Dollard. I think it was in 2007 or 2008. And I was by myself. I normally, up until the last couple of years, always went out sort of spotting by myself. And I usually did a very small radius, so like within 50 or 100 kilometers of Regina, because I couldn't afford to buy gas to go any further than that. But I had gone, there was a good chance of severe weather in the southwest part of the province. I was kind of in the area anyway, and saw a really decent plow wind followed by a pretty short-lived tornado, but it was exciting, and that was the first sort of one I was on, I guess. I don't really get too excited or out of control, I guess. There's certainly an adrenaline rush with the storm chasing, but I'm pretty even keel most of the time, so.
Yeah, that's good. We have a question from a viewer, Schenher-Oct.16. Says, what's your most exciting encounter?
Exciting encounter? Well, I got two that come to mind. One was 2 years ago, I guess it would have been now. We were in Medford, Oklahoma, and we had sort of been chasing all day long, and there was not much going on, and we kind of missed storm after storm, and it was getting dark, and just as it was starting to get dark, this storm decided that it was going to start to rotate and produce. And we were driving along the highway just south of the Kansas border in Oklahoma there, and we pulled over so that we could get some lightning shots, I guess. And so Greg was with Greg Johnson. He was on the other side of the truck, and I was outside sort of trying to see if there was anything I could see through the lightning flashes, and he was snapping photos, and then all of a sudden I heard him made this really weird noise, like "Ugh!" Like he was really surprised by something, and I kind of looked up at the same time, and not far off from us was sort of a funnel that you could see. I couldn't tell if it was on the ground or not, but you could certainly see there was a pretty well-defined funnel. So we hopped back in the truck right away, and we drove about half a kilometer down the road, and there were power lines all over the road, and we came upon this farmyard that was, kind of swept away. Roof was missing, all that type of thing. It was bizarre because we couldn't hear, like it wasn't even windy where we were standing outside. You couldn't hear anything, and literally this tornado was picking up a farmyard about half a kilometer away from us. There were emergency personnel on scene there, and they said, well, we think there's another one to the south. And so we took a look at the radar, and sure enough, there's another small storm to the south, and it's got a pretty good signature on it. So we drove south, and we got cored by this storm, and it was hailing and raining, and you couldn't, we were on a gravel road, so couldn't drive, and we were worried the road was going to wash out. So we just pulled over, and sure enough, in the distance again, there was a pretty obvious tornado on the ground. Got some good shots of it in the dark there, but it was headed sort of towards us, and we couldn't really go anywhere. on the side of the road there happened to be a very, very heavy piece of old farm machinery of some sort. So we kind of sheltered the truck behind that while we waited for the tornado to sort of pass behind us a bit. And it took about 10 minutes before we were in the clear there. And that was sort of the Medford, Oklahoma tornado, I guess. And so that was a little closer and a little more. I don't really like the nighttime stuff so much, because it's really hard to see and you don't know where you are in relation to the storm and how quickly it's coming upon you and all that type of thing. But that was probably the most scared I've ever been, I guess, in terms of being in a storm. 2 years ago on the Wadena tornado, it would be what I would call a perfect sort of storm chase day, where we had set up early in the day, saw the early storms go up, followed them, got in front of them, and all we had to do the whole day was just watch storm after storm form right in front of us. We never got wet, never got hit with a drop of rain. We were always sort of to the southeast of every storm that was passing in front of us to the northeast. And then finally around 5:30 that day or 6 o'clock, one of the storms produced a tornado just about 5 kilometers north of Wadena, and it was an excellent chase day. That's probably the most satisfied I've ever been on a storm chase.
Well, you answered the question to the full stuff.
I don't hold back.
Yeah. No filter. That's all I have.
Katie, I know you have to go at the bottom of the hour here, so did you have any questions lined up?
Well, I would ask you if what's your favorite place to chase, or if you could chase anywhere in the world, where would you go? Where would be your dream place to just go for, I don't know, spend a month and chase during season?
It would probably be somewhere between Ogama and Wood Mountain, Saskatchewan. I really like the Prairie Drive there. I mean, Kansas and Oklahoma are okay. You get the most powerful storms there for sure, but in terms of where I'd want to be, it would be right in Saskatchewan. I think it's probably the most beautiful place in the world. Just about 100 to 150k south of Regina is sort of the ideal spot. It's nice, hilly and green and farmers' fields and trees and all those types of things. Awesome.
Good.
All right, well, thanks a lot, Katie, and have a good night, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right, thanks for having me.
So, Nick, I'm going to take a question at you here. Talking about 2013, I know you had a couple of pretty exciting chases. What was your favorite chase in Saskatchewan of 2013?
It was a bad year this year. Honestly, the chase that we went on near Yorkton in early July, I guess, would have been sort of the most exciting, just because we were sort of in the middle of that storm the whole day. And it rotated and danced around a bit. I don't know that it really ever had a good chance to produce a tornado, but had it, we were certainly in the right position. And pulling up on the Yorkton exhibition and seeing everybody run for their lives out of the exhibition grounds there was pretty awesome. And then near the end of the season would have been one of the last chases we were on near Cardiff, I guess. We were able to spot a funnel cloud and what might have been a very brief tornado there. But other than that, it was a pretty dull year for storms. I didn't end up going to the States at all this year. I normally do for about a week, and just couldn't this year. So I never really saw much of anything.
So let's back it up then to 2012, which was obviously a bit more of an exciting year.
2012 was an awesome year. I think I saw about 18 to 25 tornadoes in 2012. Wow. It was great. Saw a few in the States, and I was on probably a dozen that happened in Saskatchewan at least. From anything from those cold core funnel days where I think there were 8 or 9 tornadoes spotted out of the cold core system up north on Highway 11 to, the Wadena tornado, the one that happened near Moose Jaw. All those days were awesome. It would just seem like it was day after day that we were going out chasing, and it was lots of fun. Last year was easily the best year that I've ever had storm chasing. I don't know that I'll ever have a year like that again, actually, because I've been doing it for 10 years now, and nothing's even ever come close to that. And just, sorry, I have one of those Bud Light red lights that goes off when the New York Rangers score goals. So if you heard that in the background, it was a little distracting. But anyway, yeah, I've been doing it a long time, and I've never had a year like I did last year, and I don't know that that's going to happen again. So.
Steven?
I don't really have a question at the moment. Give me about a minute and a half. And I think
so, talking about, I know you said you didn't get to go down to the States this year, but from what you've seen, and we've sort of been asking this to all of our guests that we've had, well, we've only really had one guest so far this fall, but is your thoughts on what made the El Reno, Oklahoma tornado different from all the other ones, despite the, obvious reasons? I mean, in your opinion, as a storm spotter, what made that storm so different?
Size and trajectory. The issue was, from what I can decipher from video and these reports that have come out, and all the compilations of sort of what other people think went wrong, it seemed like this tornado acted differently than your typical tornado would, in the fact that it changed direction very suddenly and sort of in a almost 90-degree angle. And the other thing is the sheer size of it. And what a lot of people don't know is that a tornado, you can't see them all the time. And when they get to be that huge, and you've got rotating winds on the outer side of the funnel, and you've got videotaped evidence that this thing is throwing down multiple suction vortices in sort of the same area, but over a large, like a mile-wide area, I guess. And these vortices are the size of what regular tornadoes would be. You don't know where the boundary of those winds is going to be, because, I mean, people are estimating, and Reed Timmer is one who estimates that some of these wind speeds at the ground level could be 500 or 600 miles per hour. I mean, that's an outrageous amount of wind speed, and that can do a lot of damage very, very quickly. And wind is something you can't really see. And so I don't think all the chasers that were there knew where the outer boundary of that tornado was. I don't think they knew exactly how large it was. I mean, we're talking about a tornado that, if you were in Regina, would have been as large at its largest point from, everything west of Pasqua Street or Louvain Drive, and everything north of the Ring Road. It would have, touched every part of Regina that's sort of in that northwest section. And so it's a huge tornado. Wind speeds are absolutely incredible, and the fact that it moved so suddenly when chasers who would have normally been in very good position found themselves very quickly out of position and having to escape. And I mean, there was a lot of precipitation, so the roads wouldn't have been good, the visibility would have been poor, and there were a lot of chasers out that day. There were a lot of people who were told that they should try and flee their homes, because this was going to be the tornado that destroyed the planet, and the roads were congested in some areas, and it was just a bad scene overall, I think, for a lot of spotters and a lot of people who were just given some bad information about what they should do.
Right. And how do you think, going on to sort of like the passing along of information, how do you think that the warning process in Canada, in your 10 years of spotting and chasing, how has that evolved over the last 10 years or so?
It hasn't.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it's been pretty much the same the whole time. The forecasting is better, I will say that. The meteorologists at Environment Canada do an excellent job of forecasting possible severe weather days. The watches and warnings seem to go up with a little more expedience than they have in the past, I think. But there are issues with the overall system. One being the size of the warning areas that we have in Canada, because it's not really pinpointed to a specific area. When you're taking a look at that picture map, you have to read the text to sort of get the detail.
Yeah.
And that's a minus for sure. And then the other thing is just the radar system. I mean, there's no money for Environment Canada, and it's not the fault of Environment Canada. It's not the fault of any of the meteorologists that work there, any of the staff there. I mean, the government has cut a lot of jobs at Environment Canada and a lot of money over the last 6 years, and the system has suffered because of it. And unfortunately, it's probably going to take a pretty nasty disaster before it gets better here.
Yeah, that's very true. We're going to move on to another question. I know Steven sort of brought this up earlier, but we have another question on Twitter for a viewer who wasn't able to join us right at the top of the show. Sarah Penner would like to know your favorite storm memory ever.
Again, probably my favorite storm memory ever would be the chase day that we had in Wadena, not this past summer, but the summer before that. When you're talking about, I'm not huge about getting really close to storms. I don't really like that. I like to be able to see the whole storm, stay in an area where I can report what I'm seeing going on without being too close. I hate pictures. I hate video. I don't like doing that stuff. The only reason I live stream the storms is so that other people can see what's going on without having to put themselves in that position, and because I don't have to do anything. Once I turn it on, I can just leave it on, and that's that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like taking pictures. I don't like taking video. I don't like documenting storms in a sort of multimedia way like that. I just like to provide real-time information for people so that they can get out. So once I got familiar with Twitter, that became much easier. The live streaming helps a lot because you don't have to constantly be telling people what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's also helpful that Environment Canada is watching these streams as well, so that they can see what's going on, rather than me having to pick up the phone every 5 minutes and say, now this is happening, now this is happening. So in terms of my favorite memory, having a successful day as a storm spotter is the one where I set up in an area and I can sit there for 2 or 3 hours and watch every storm that forms go by me. And if it's got potential to rotate, then I can follow it right behind it in clear blue sky with no chance of getting rained on, so that I can get out of the car and take wind speed measurements or pick up hailstones or whatever I need to do to do my job as a spotter.
What's the largest hailstone you've ever recorded? Can you recall that?
Jeez.
Yeah, in the States I saw some baseball-sized hail. I wasn't in it, thankfully. It was after the fact. In Saskatchewan, probably a little bigger than golf ball. I've seen other people report very big hailstones in Saskatchewan, especially up north for some reason. But in Saskatchewan, I've never seen anything much bigger than a golf ball, I guess, around here, which is good. The funny thing was, this last season, for as terrible a storm season as it was the one storm that ended up doing damage to my vehicle was that sort of freak one that came in from the north, just along Highway 11 there, and dumped all that hail on Regina, and actually continued to dump large hail all the way down to Van, basically. And I got caught right in the middle of that hail core, and it mashed up the roof of my car so bad. It just looks like a bunch of kids took a baseball bat to it and mashed it up with a couple of baseball bats. So that was kind of freak. But those hailstones, I mean, in that area where I was in the Northwest, they got to be pretty close to golf ball sized hail for a little while there. So that was pretty nasty.
Steven, anything on your end here?
I have one. If you don't mind me asking, just for all those people who may want to get into this kind of stuff, how did you start out?
I started out
and
by
any advice. Sorry.
Yeah, I started out by really, really, really liking weather as a kid and wanting to know why, storm systems formed, how we got hot weather, cold weather, all that type of thing. Just a very basic want to know of what the Earth is doing and how these things happen. And then sort of as I grew up, I thought, well, maybe I want to be a meteorologist. And as I got into high school and beyond that, I quickly realized that meteorology is mostly complex math, and I don't have any time for that. So I had no interest in doing any of the. I mean, the people who are meteorologists and do the forecasting and the prediction and write about weather systems and report on it, those guys are scientists. There's no doubt about that. They're 100% scientists, and I am not. I don't have any interest in contributing in that sort of regard at all. But the next best thing is that these scientists, because they are confined often to computers and weather models and having to issue warnings to the public, they don't get to be in the field when this action is happening.
Right.
And they need people in the field to let them know that what they're seeing on their computer is what is being translated in the form of severe weather in real time in the real world. Because sometimes what you see on radar can be kind of deceiving, and sometimes what you don't see on radar is pretty important too. So they need lots of eyes on the ground. So the first thing I did was when I was able to do a Skywarn course, I did that. And then when I was able to do a CanWarn course, I did that. And then when I was able to do the spotter network training, I did that. And just sort of went, and one of the things that you sort of learn as a storm spotter, and this is sort of old school type storm spotting, is you pick a place, sort of maybe 100-kilometer radius around where you live, and that's sort of going to be your territory where you're going to report on what's going on in the weather. And so I used to drive out to just west on Highway 1 out near Briarcrest, and I would sit on the gravel road there for a stretch of 2 or 3 hours when there was severe weather, and I would report for that area and sort of go up and down that grid road between Briarcrest and the number 1 and down towards Ogama and Rollo and that area up to Regina, and just report on what was happening and sort of in a solo thing. If the storm got too close, I would back away from it. I never wanted to be underneath the storm. I always, like I said, wanted to see everything about it. I avoided storms. In fact, I wouldn't even call myself a chaser at that point, because I tried to avoid them as best I could. And then when I wanted to sort of get into it a little more and get into sort of the safety and communicating with people who were watching on Twitter or the live stream, I got hooked up with a guy who's experienced, and that was Greg, and we went on a couple of chases down south and throughout Saskatchewan in 2011, and got to know sort of the technology side of it, because like I said, I don't really like dealing with computers or photography or videography or anything like that. So kind of versed myself in that a bit, and then last year sort of took off on my own a bit and started streaming and taking another photographer along with me and another set of eyes to read radar, and now I'm in a position where I feel comfortable that I can take sort of newer wannabe chasers or spotters out myself and give them a bit of a ride, so that they can gain that experience, so that one day I can stop doing this, because I, as much as I like spotting storms and reporting on it, there will come a time when I won't want to do it anymore, and hopefully it'll be when the warning system gets to the point where I don't need to do it anymore.
Yeah. What do you think has to happen for that to happen, though?
Well, we need either a large influx of money into Environment Canada's coffers, or there needs to be a disaster so that people start demanding that it occurs, because it's not going to on its own. There's just with the way things are going right now, you have to pick and choose as a government, I guess, what you're going to fund, and there are things that at this point are deemed to be more important than funding new radar, new warning systems, or development of whatever for Environment Canada. So who knows? Maybe it won't take a huge disaster. I'm hopeful that it won't, and I'm really thankful that there seems to be a large influx of storm chasers and spotters to do the work that needs to be done for the scientists who are watching the computer models, for sure, because it's really important work that's being done there. And it's always nice to see other people out on the road doing the same thing, because like I said, you can compile so much information when you've got one person who's 20 kilometers north of where you are and another person who's 20 kilometers south, and you can see what they're seeing, and they're reporting what they're seeing on Twitter or to Environment Canada, and you can sort of position yourself well to give a more accurate report of what's going on in terms of a more larger area.
Yeah, exactly. So we talked about, you mentioned that you've chased in the past with Greg Johnson. For anybody, I'm sure anybody who's watching the show is familiar with him. What's your favorite chasing with Greg moment? Is there anything that stands out?
Favorite chasing with Greg moment, I guess.
Because I've heard you two on the Storm Clowns together. You seem to get along pretty good, and both two interesting characters. So there has to be some comments there.
I view Greg as more of a nemesis than as a friend, to be honest with you. He's I like him because he's a big personality, and I'm not like that at all, really. I'm more of a sort of make fun of big personalities type guy. So I like to sit back and just let Greg feed me with whatever he wants to feed me with, so that I can just basically make fun of him. So anytime when we're chasing and he sets me up for a really good pun or a great joke for the live stream, those are some good moments. In terms of chasing itself, I had a really good day with him when we went out to Pipestone, Manitoba, a couple of years ago. There was a really nice storm that we followed all the way from the far east Saskatchewan well into Manitoba, and it was a beautiful storm, really photogenic. I guess I don't know much about photography, but Greg said it was, and he took lots of pictures, and it was a wonderful storm to watch. Lots of action, lots of rotation, lots of dancing clouds, I guess, and it was a good time for sure. For people who are interested in doing a storm chase, if Greg is ever offering a week, sort of a week of storm chasing with him and the team that he has now, I would take it for sure, because it's not just storms. I mean, when you're confined in a small vehicle for a period of 6 or 7 days, you get to know the people that you're around fairly well, and you have to have a sense of humor about things, and there's going to be days where you're going to miss every storm and it's going to be blue skies, and there'll be frustrations with that, but at the end of the day, as long as you can have a good time while you're doing it and tell some stories and jokes and make fun of each other, those are probably my favorite memories with Greg for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm out of. He's run me dry of questions.
You're out of questions?
Yeah.
Okay, we're just going to put it past everybody on the chat. Last call for any questions. One-on-one with Nick Schenher. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight, Nick, taking time out of your Wednesday night, and it's great to talk to you. It's been a long time
no problem.
Long time in the coming and in the making, and hopefully we'll run into you next season out there. Never ran into you this year, but I enjoy whenever I'm not chasing. I enjoy being able to sit at home and watch your live stream. It's always a great. You had some. I know this year was a pretty boring year, but definitely had the stream rocking good this year. So
yeah, I'm actually kind of proud of myself with how technically sound the stream was. It was a good picture, and we were able to get it booted up for iPhones and iPad devices this year too, which is something we didn't have the capability to do last year, and I was able to figure all that out, and it was pretty seamless actually. And I got a new vehicle for chasing in as well, and we're able to. It was kind of a nice year to just sort of test that out and get to know the ins and outs of driving an SUV over what I was driving a subcompact vehicle for all of my storm chases 2 years ago and the year before that, and I'd had that car for 7 years, and this year at the beginning of the season, Chris Graham and Chris Graham is my photographer, one of my chase partners. Great guy. He's got an excellent website if you're looking for him. Just Google Chris Graham Photography Regina and his website will come up. And he's got some storm pictures on there to look at. But we were chasing between, I think it was Vibank and Odessa, and we got, it was like a really rainy day, and we weren't seeing much, and sheets of rain, and all of a sudden Environment Canada issued a tornado warning for the area, literally like 7 kilometers north of where we were, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, I don't see anything that would indicate, that there's going to be a potential for a tornado or anything like that. And so we pulled up, went on the Highway 35, I think it is, and we fired north for about 10K, and then sure enough we got out of this rain and into this sort of clear area where the storm was moving right towards us. And so we pulled over, and there was a beautiful rotating wall cloud that was forming this funnel, and the video, that's all on YouTube if you want to see it. You can just search Nick Schenher or Nick the Body on YouTube, and the videos will come up. But while I was sitting there, I could smell like this sort of it almost smelled like a burning electrical. And I got out of the car and popped the hood while this tornado was forming in front of us, essentially, and my car was on fire. So I always carry a lot of safety gear in my vehicle for chasing, because I've happened upon some scenes in the past where it's been necessary, and I always have a fire extinguisher with me, and luckily I had one. I didn't think I'd ever be using it on my own vehicle, but nevertheless, we extinguished the fire, and thankfully this rotating wall cloud decided not to put a tornado on our heads, and I decided shortly after that it might be time to look around for something that might not catch on fire when you're in the middle of waiting for a tornado to form in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you did manage to find something, right?
For a vehicle, you mean?
Yeah.
Or for the... Yeah, I've got a Jeep now.
All right. So that hasn't caught on fire yet?
No fires. I put about 10,000 kilometers on it from May up until now, and I've had no issues at all with it. So
awesome.
That'll be hopefully that'll continue for next year and into the winter as well. It's 4x4 capability, which is something I've never had before either when storm chasing on my own, and so I'll be able to go places that I would not have dared to go in my little Toyota Yaris prior to that.
Okay. Never mind. Okay.
What?
Good luck with that. We have one more question from Sarah P. I gotta find it from the chat. Best way to learn more about storm chasing, like get out there or do all the research first, or maybe both? She'd like your opinion.
The best way is to get hooked up with an experienced storm chaser and ask to ride along with them.
Oh, and
that's easily the best way. You'll get the most information. It becomes real at that point. It took me probably 10 years before I was comfortable to make any type of forecast at all about whether or not I thought there was going to be severe storms. I still don't understand much of what goes into weather modeling or any of that. I can read the maps. I understand, different wind speeds and shear and sort of the basics that you need, dew point and pressure and all of those types of things that you kind of need to know to make a forecast like that a few days in advance. But in terms of, actual hands-on sort of working knowledge of how to use that information, you need to go along with somebody who's experienced.
Okay. And you may have a willing candidate. She seems very interested.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And I'm always open to that. I mean, I took I think 3 or 4 people out this year that hadn't been, along with somebody before, and it's a really good experience. And I'll take you out for a day as long as as long as you can go. It's sort of a very quick notice, and you're willing to pay for a third or a quarter of the gas that we drive, depending on how many people are with me. I have no problem taking people out on a chase when I can. I have 2 guys that regularly come with me. I guess they would be considered my team, but we always usually have a 4th spot. Now that I have a vehicle that can actually hold 4 people, it's become an option for us, and I want as many people spotting storms and providing that information as possible, so I'm always willing to take whoever wants to go out as long as I've got a spot for them.
Well, I'm sure we could keep this going for another half hour at least here. Got so many other things we could talk about, but we're almost out of time. Thanks so much, Nick, for joining us tonight, and we'll have to do it again sometime.
Thank you.
And good luck on your further chases.
Yeah, stay safe.
Thanks.
Stay safe this winter. Are you planning to do any winter? I know you've done some winter streaming within the city before. Are you going to test out the 4x4 this winter?
Absolutely, I will. Yeah, I always like to stream at least the first major snowfall of the year, if I can, just because the people in the States who tune into the TVN site, they're usually from they're from all over, but a lot of people based in Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, who have never seen the power of winter weather before.
Exactly.
And I like to go around on those days and just stream my drive throughout the city and just help people get their vehicles unstuck and sort of stream that as well, because there's always people who end up getting stuck or on ice and stuff like that. So I usually stream that once or twice a year.
Very cool. And where can everybody find you on YouTube, Twitter, your website, or what's the best way to connect with you?
The best way to connect with me, I guess, would probably be Twitter. You can find me at Nick the Body. On YouTube, just search Nick Schenher or Nick the Body or something like that. Or else, I guess you can get all 3 options if you just go to stormwatcher.ca. And then there's some links up in the top right-hand corner of the page to all of my Twitter, Facebook, YouTube accounts, Instagram, all that stuff, and people can join and follow along on there. I'm planning on, it's been a while since I posted on the website, but I'm planning on running a contest in the off season here once the snow hits the ground. A couple years back, I had a bunch of Storm Chasers autograph a couple of, 3 of the hubcaps off of my Toyota Yaris at the time.
I remember that. Yeah.
And we had auctioned one off for charity for the Penny Project here in Regina, and I'm going to plan on giving one away as part of a contest, I think, for the website. So if people want to stay tuned to Twitter, probably in January or February, maybe December, then I'll announce what the contest is going to be and how you would have an opportunity to win one of these things.
Very cool. Well, we'll look forward to doing that, and we'll have to talk to you maybe after winter, get your winter driving experiences. That's always a whole story in itself.
Mm-hmm. Yep. People need to turn their lights on and slow down. That's the advice I have for winter driving.
Very true. Yep. All right. Thanks a lot, Nick. Have a good night, and we'll
Take care.
Talk to you next time. You too.
All right.
Alrighty, so there's a little sound effect bleep there.
Signing.
So yeah, thanks a lot everybody for tuning in tonight. For all the great conversations and questions on the chat. Love interacting with you guys. Our next podcast date is not scheduled for sure yet, but we do have some upcoming guests that we can tell you about. Natani Barasa will be joining us. We had tried to get him a couple weeks ago. We had a technical glitch there. We're going to get that sorted out. He's going to be an upcoming guest. Craig Hilt of Prairie Fire Photography is also on our list of upcoming guests. And you can stay tuned on Facebook, Twitter, and SaskatchewanWeather.ca for the full dates once we have those dates confirmed. We'll be posting those on there. And we'll also keep working on some other guests. We've got possibly Ricky Forbes. I got to get in contact with him yet. Let us know who else you guys would love to see.
Tell your friends.
I know Reed Timmer and I, we've been going back and forth trying to schedule something to have him on the show, which would be really awesome. And I know that you guys would really love a chance to ask him questions. tvandweather.com, and we'll keep working with that. You can check out their series Tornado Chasers on tvandweather.com. That is 3 episodes of season 2 already available on there. And our Saskatchewan-based first ever Canadian web series, Storm Chasing web series, also launched last Saturday. Episode 1 is available right on the website. Episode 2 will go public a week from this Saturday. And if the first few episodes don't seem like much, you guys will definitely want to keep watching, because the last few episodes are absolutely I had a lot of fun working on them. We got some great storms at the end of the season, and you'll definitely want to see. If you don't watch any of the other episodes, you'll definitely want to watch the last 2 episodes of the season. And stay tuned throughout the winter, because we will have more great podcasts like this one with more great guests. And thanks a lot to all of our guests tonight. Katie Nymanen on the roundtable, Nick Schenher, and my co-host Steven Anderson for joining me as well. And thanks to all of our viewers and faithful followers. Have a good night, everybody. If you missed any of the podcast, we will have it uploaded on YouTube later on, and we'll post a link on there. And in the meantime, you can also check out our 2014 Severe Weather and Nature Calendar, available now on the website as well. First ever calendar on there. Best shots of my best shots of my whole storm chasing season, and including a few non-storm shots as well. So I had a lot of fun putting that together, and I think that just about covers it all. Am I forgetting anything? I always remember I forget something.
Tell your friends. Tell your friends. That's all I got. About this.
Oh yeah.
Tell your friends about this.
Okay.
More viewers, more people.
Wise words.
Yeah, I know. I'm tired.
And we like I said, we always love your feedback about who you'd like to see on the show and what you would like to see on the show. And really glad we got it off on the air tonight without any problems or glitches in our video. And it's an exciting time here, because we've got this whole new platform, and we had Ryan Krause on with it. That was our first one with the new platform, and we had a little bit of problem for any of you who watched that. We had a problem with his video on there, and we got that sorted out for this one, and everything seems to be running smoothly now, so we're ready to rock and roll for the winter season of podcasts. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night. I'm Joshua Zorn for Steven Anderson, Katie Nymanen, Nick Schenher. Have a great night, and so long from Saskatchewan.